Hi, Karen. Welcome.
Hi, Sharon. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. And let me just say, thank you for, giving up some time today. I know how busy everything is, but we really appreciate it. And I know that people listening will appreciate, listening to your journey, not just the last 12 months, but some of the background to that journey as well. So, before we get into just learning a bit more about that, what would be probably helpful is if you could just give a little bit of background to yourself and Advanced Recruitment, just to give some context for today's conversation.
Okay. So I'm one of the directors at Advance Recruitment. We are a long established medical sales recruitment agency, focused heavily really on the medtech market. We've been going since 1997. Um, it's a business that's done well. We've got a team of 5 at the minute, and we're just looking to try and grow the business and take it to the next level, and wanted the marketing really to be part of that.
Yes, yeah, and it's quite an exciting time, isn't it? Because I know there's an awful lot happening, and probably we'll get into more of that through today's chat. But when you think about perhaps before you and I had that initial conversation, where were you at as a business? Because we would have had, COVID come through that and everything else. So yeah, what was going on, and I guess what were some of the challenges generally that you felt you were facing as business at that time?
Um, I, we didn't have any marketing in place at all, and
Mm,
we were finding there was a lot of feast and famine within the business. So we
right.
just weren't really getting a consistent flow of leads through. Obviously, off the
Yeah.
back of COVID, we were in a candidate short market,
Mm,
and there were real challenges around getting good candidates who weren't necessarily registered with everybody.
yeah. And I'm sure that a lot of people will kind of like relate to that. Um, and so I guess in terms of let's say then from a marketing perspective, for you, what was some of the biggest challenges around that? Because marketing is it's a big topic. So yeah,
Yes.
what were you challenging with?
So we just didn't know anything about marketing.
Right.
We knew it was something that we needed to do, but we just
Mm,
didn't know where to start. We had a website that was quite out of date. We'd had it built about 7 or 8 years ago.
yeah.
There was no content on it. We
Mm,
didn't have any sort of social media presence at
right.
all.
Yeah.
People were talking about things like funnels and lead generation, and we just had no processes in place to do that,
No.
and didn't know where to start really,
Yeah.
and didn't have the time either, Sharon. Um, there are 2 directors within this business, and we both bill, so just trying to find the time to even think about marketing
Yeah.
was just not an option for us at that
Yeah.
time.
And when you think about where you were at that time, and of course, you've been in business for a long time, you've got a lot
Yeah.
of experience and everything. How had you been getting business? I mean, COVID aside and all the challenges of that, what had you previously been doing?
Um, I think just because we've been around for such a long time, we
Yeah.
know a lot of people. There were candidates that we placed who'd become sales managers and would come to us. So there
Mm,
was a certain amount of business that just ticked over from
got you.
who we knew, but
Yeah.
we weren't getting new candidates or enough new candidates and new
Candidates.
clients through the door.
Yeah. Yeah. So thinking then that would have been certainly a big issue at that time. And then
Yeah,
I guess as market dynamics change, sometimes we flip flop, don't we, between candidate led market, client led market, and,
yeah,
and everything. So finding quality candidates.
yeah,
You talked about that peaks and troughs of sort of consistency of revenue generation and
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
And I guess then knowing that you wanted and needed to do some marketing, but just not knowing where to start. So they probably were like the three major things going on for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how did you come across Superfast Recruitment? Because people come across us in different ways.
So I had seen you on LinkedIn, I think, before. I was aware of you. And then I was in another recruitment group.
Yes.
And your name came up quite a few times as a recommendation.
Got you.
So decided to go ahead and have a chat with you.
And have a chat, yes.
Yep.
And I do remember you and I having a chat. It's not that much over 12 months, isn't it? I think probably sort of May, June time.
Yes.
Because I remember jumping in the car and driving to Skye afterwards.
Yeah. And I think, I think we might have had an initial conversation, and then I dilly-dallied around and then thought, right, I need to take action and do something about this now. Yes.
Yeah. And so what was it then after that dilly-dallying? I love that word. What was it that kind of like, you get up one day, you sort of think, I need to do this?
I think it is just getting to a point and thinking we're not where we want to be.
Yeah.
And this is something that can potentially help us to get there. So why am I not doing anything about it?
Yeah, and sometimes it's a common thing, isn't it? I can think about it in other parts of life where sometimes that discomfort's got to be sufficiently uncomfortable is a better word, isn't it? It's got to be sufficiently uncomfortable to think, I just don't want to put up with this anymore. I have to do something about it.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, if you just did it earlier, then you would have been less uncomfortable for a shorter period of time.
Absolutely. And, and hindsight is such a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yes.
And so when you think then, because it is about 12 months since you joined, what have you been able to achieve over that time? Because you've done a lot, actually.
Yes. Yeah, we have. And I still think there's lots more that we can do. Yeah,
we're never satisfied, are we?
You're never satisfied, and I think that's a great thing about the journey. You are always learning from it, and there is always something that you can do. But we've started off. We've got a new website. It's got new content on it. It's got the blogs and reports, which obviously you give us as part of the marketing collateral, which we upload onto the website, and that's driving traffic to our website, which means we're getting more quality leads from candidates and clients.
Right.
We've got a presence on social media, which we just didn't have before. We were using social media scheduling software so that we've got posts going out about 3 or 4 times a day. So that's consistent. We have, I'm just trying to think what else we've got email automation set up. So we've got email campaigns running for clients and candidates. So quite a bit. It's
quite a lot, isn't it? And I mean, what have you noticed, let's say, both yourself and the team as a result of, building that presence? Because as you say, you were, very well known with the people that you'd worked with and everything. But then I imagine when you were going out on social, suddenly you were going out to people that wouldn't have known of Advanced quite so much. So what have you noticed the difference that's in itself's made?
We've definitely got a greater supply of quality candidates coming to us.
Great.
And those are candidates that may not necessarily be registered with other agencies. Yeah. We've had a lot more new businesses come to us. I remember having a conversation a couple of years ago saying we're just not getting enough new companies coming to us. And by new, I mean, startup organizations, for example, because they're companies that we really enjoy working with.
Yeah.
So we've definitely had a lot more of those types of organisations
Businesses.
come to us,
Yeah.
work with us, make inquiries about our services.
Yeah.
We actually had one company who we'd never dealt with before, and they called us out of the blue and said, "Look, we've been using another recruitment agency for the last couple of years, but
Mm-hmm.
you've been sending this brilliant content that we find really useful, and it's made us want to work with you. It's made us think this is the kind of recruitment agency who really go the extra mile." So that was
Right.
just wonderful to hear somebody
Yes.
actually say that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I guess, it's you will see, other companies kind of like, sharing content, and, you hear us talk a lot about the value of it, but then to actually hear it from a prospective new client who then becomes a client,
yeah,
say that actually, when you, having done this, it's why I've come to you. It's just, sometimes I guess it feels, particularly when, because you mentioned at the beginning about, as two directors, when you're a billing director and you don't have a lot of time to hear the fact that I put this effort in and somebody's telling me it's worked because that's why I've come to you. That must just give you that bit of
yeah,
relief and satisfaction.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Just to see it in black and white.
Yeah. And so for you, I guess let's talk about you personally, and
Yeah,
then perhaps extend that out to the team, because you're a tight knit team.
we are.
What for you perhaps have been some of the direct benefits of working with Superfast and being part of Superfast Circle?
So I think one of the great things about working with you and doing marketing in this way is that you're not just getting marketing content and getting marketing collateral, you're
Mm.
actually learning about it.
Hmm.
And I think, we've all very much been on a journey in the organization in terms of learning and developing. And I guess with you guys, it's not just about the marketing. So we're learning about marketing, but
Hmm.
but we're learning about so much more.
Mm.
Which and I think with the live calls that you do, for example, you get to speak and hear other small business owners. You hear about their challenges, you find
Mm.
out what they're doing and how they're approaching things. So
Yeah.
you're just learning so much more about your business. And in
Yes.
fact, quite often I come off those calls and I think, oh right, I need to I need to look at this. We've not done this. So I usually do come off with a list of things that I need to do. But
Yeah.
it's good because you're constantly thinking about things and you are constantly challenging the things that you're doing within your business. So
Yeah.
it's much more than marketing.
Yeah. Oh well, that's really good to hear, and I know that other people sort of like do say they've got this kind of like extended growing to do list.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, something perhaps as well that maybe it's a good time to talk about it, because you very openly said, as a business owner, there's two directors here, and you are billing. You've
yeah.
got a small team, so everybody's kind of like pulling together. What are your thoughts now about that? I haven't got time, because we've all got a limited amount of time in our day, and it can sort of feel like I just really haven't got time to do this, and yet you've done so much in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you just got something that you want to maybe share there about how you've approached it.
So we are lucky in that we've got a fantastic admin person here,
Hmm.
who has been doing I suppose, the processes behind it
Right.
for
Yeah.
us.
Hmm.
And I do think that's one of the nice things about what you do as well, is because sometimes with various training platforms or um, companies that provide services,
Mm.
it's one person that's
Yeah.
allowed to be part of the process. But I think what's good about the way that you do things is the team are allowed to be part of it.
Yeah.
And it's not just me who can come on the calls with you, it's
Yeah.
everybody in the team.
Yeah.
So, if anybody has a question, they can come on and ask it. And it
Yeah.
means that I can delegate a
Yeah.
task to somebody else to do, and then
Yeah.
they can come to you
Yeah.
and ask for the help to do it,
To
and it
do
gets
it.
done.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of like sort of being, and I know just, working with you and specific team members that, there is a team element to how you've made it work. But I guess also you have put a lot of time in yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Yes, yeah.
and sometimes I guess it's just recognizing, isn't it, that this needs to happen. And if it means that, I need to roll my sleeves up, well, it's my business, isn't it?
Abs-
That's what I'm going to do.
yeah, yeah. You do need to. You do need to roll your sleeves up and make time for
Yeah.
it as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so how do you think then the effort that you've put in, the systems and the processes you've been put in place, how has that been helping you to reach some of the goals that you've had as a business?
I think just having some automation in place.
Yeah.
There was so much that we were doing that we were just doing manually. So,
Right.
for example, we were sending out emails about jobs and sending out emails to clients and candidates, but we weren't. It wasn't automated, and so obviously it was taking time for somebody to do that.
Yeah.
But with working with you, we've been able to put automation in place for a variety of things, which has then freed up more time for us to do the parts of the job that we should be doing, the people parts of the job.
Yeah. And I mean, to what degree do you think that the team have recognised changes on the back of marketing?
Oh yeah,
and how they've benefited?
Yes, yeah. I mean, they've definitely benefited from it. If you're getting more clients and more candidates, at the end of the day, the business is making more money. You've got nicer clients to work with. You've got good candidates to work with. It makes it a much nicer job.
Yeah, good.
And I think the other thing as well is when you look at the marketing collateral that we are putting out there, it projects a very professional image, and that's important to us.
Yes, yeah. I know I was talking to somebody yesterday and just kind of giving them a bit of a behind the scenes view, and it was interesting. I think they were doing some comparison with some other content. Some of it was AI generated, interestingly, and I think even kind of like on a quick demo, they could see actually the quality and the level of content that they get. But that's lovely to hear you say that as well. When you think about perhaps when we originally spoke and you made that decision, it is time to do something. I know as someone who's signed up to different programs, you go in and you have some expectations, or you're going with no expectations, and you think, I'm just going to see how this evolves. I mean, how, from your personal perspective, how has being part of Superfast Circle, working with Denise and I, how has that exceeded expectations?
Oh, it's definitely exceeded expectations.
In what way?
So I feel that by working with you both, you really get to understand our business. You get what we're about, which is obviously really important. You are very accessible. It's very much it's very much a two-way street. So if there is something that we're having challenges with, you're very quick to react with that and produce something for us which will help. Even just thinking about, we're looking at growing the retain side of our business, and that's something that we've had conversations with you about in the last couple of weeks, and even that helping us to put together something which will drive more retained business for us. So I think it's just that personal touch, the accessibility, the flexibility, and the collaboration.
Yeah. And I mean, that first point that you mentioned about, understanding your business, why is that in particular important? I mean, because that leads to some of the other things that you mentioned, but why is that important to you?
So I think if somebody's going to be part of your journey, and somebody's going to provide you with advice and support to help you to get there, they need to understand you and what your values are and what's important to you in your business. And I think, I suppose just going back to the start, that is one of the reasons that I wanted to work with you and made the decision to work with you, because I did feel that what was important to you and what's important to us were very closely aligned.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting, because that was actually going to be my next question about, how aligned did you feel we were? So that's amazing. Yeah, that's super. And I guess, just on a personal level, because when you are working with somebody, and you are, taking advice from somebody that is influencing what you do with your business.
Yeah.
There's there has to be, well, certainly in my view anyway, there has to be some kind of connection there. I mean, how has it been just working personally with Denise and I? Because sometimes we've had one-to-one calls, sometimes there's been both of us. What has that been like for you?
Very enjoyable. Very easy. I don't ever feel like there's any question that I ask you that's a stupid question.
Which is what we can all be very self-conscious of, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think we're in the fortunate position with you as well. I think we mentioned that we're medical sales recruitment, and that's the sector that you both come from originally. And just having that understanding as well has really helped. So great. We have great conversations, I think.
Yeah. And so, if you were thinking about, let's say somebody's considering joining Superfast Circle, and they're kind of not sure, and they're not sure from a number of perspectives. Time being one of them, being able to build marketing internally rather than having somebody else do it. And they were just kind of sitting on the fence, sort of which way do I go? What would you say to somebody like that?
I would say you definitely got to be prepared to put the time in for it. Absolutely. But I would say just go for it. You've just got so much to gain from it, and as I mentioned before, it's not just marketing. You'll learn so much more. There's a supportive community of people, and absolutely, I wish I'd done it sooner. Right,
that's testament in itself, and isn't it? Yes, and and it's great actually that. I guess what you were saying earlier is that when it opens up your eyes, and you have come so far in 12 months, and yet you now see, oh my gosh, and there's so much more. And it reminds me of, I often think, the more I learn, the more I realise there is to learn.
Absolutely, yes.
In many areas, not just kind of like marketing, but it's great that actually that you've decided to sort of continue that journey with Superfast.
Absolutely, yes.
And I mean, let's see if you could kind of like pick one main reason why someone should join Superfast Circle. What do you think would be that kind of like that real overriding reason? Because it's a leap of faith, isn't it, when you
It
invest
is.
in
Yeah, I just
working
think
with a company?
I think the support that you get
Yeah,
is just invaluable.
yeah, cool. And for you, just in summary, what for you would be the highlights of the successes that you've had in summary?
So, I mean, we had our best first half of the year ever. So,
Ever in 20 plus years of being in business?
well, well, probably in the last 10 years.
In the last 10 years?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
fantastic.
we've had it's a slightly smaller team now,
Right,
but yeah.
I'm with
So
you.
certainly
So
in the
with
last,
this size team,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
fantastic. That's
So
great.
that's got to say something.
It certainly has. It certainly has, yes. Well, look, thank you for your time and for being so open and honest as well. I know that people do actually watch these videos and all the way through as well. So, they will get a lot of value from what you shared today. So really appreciate that, Karen.
You're
And
very welcome.
we look forward to seeing you on a call soon.
Yes, look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks, Sharon. Bye.
Bye-bye now.